this? I really don't understand it.
What the hell is wrong with y'all? You ain't that damn good. Stop acting like it.
Some ineffectual, privileged, effete, soft penis debutante.
Stop right there. Stop.
We think it amazing.
Well, we wrap up round 2 of the Big Bash as of tonight. Yes, at the end of the round this time, with the Renegades doing their best Stars impression and almost choking the game away. No Big Bash till Boxing Day, where there is a double-header delight, and we'll continue to look forward to, tonight as we preview round 3. Welcome to the SC Guns podcast, where you must remember we take no responsibility for anything we get wrong. You'll notice the other bloke who hasn't said a word yet, resident numbers boy Nath. How are we?
I'm great. And you know why I'm great? Because I've had access to a social media account with a sufficient enough following where I can tell the world that I have Mitch Owen in my starting lineup. So I have that. And and then I feel like that bloke that this is a bit of a reach, but you know that might have been 30 years ago, there was a bloke that won a lottery ticket, $25,000 lottery ticket or something, and he was asked to reenact it, and then he scratched it, and he won $200,000 off that ticket.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that $200,000 ticket, Sydney McSweeney, he's on my bench, 138 points. I'm swimming in points, except in my double game players, where Lance Morris dropped after 3. Who else? Freaking James Basley, 64. So bad I didn't even play him. 64 is harsh, but you know what I mean. And of course, I captained the wrong guy. Who would have thought the guy that averaged 100 last year, not the guy to captain? Who would have thought? But what's the right word here? What went right?
What went right?
What went right?
Oh, well, you could say so much and so little at the same time. I bought in Cooper Connolly, which I think a lot of people did, but it went right for me. It's 146 points in my back pocket. So that's for me. Jamie Overton as well. I've had him all since round 1. So it's been points coming out of his backside just every game he's played. I have Renshaw, but on the bench, didn't play him this week. That's okay. I think it sets me up nicely for next week. Again, Captain Matt Short, it's 115. It's upsetting it's not Overton's 164 or Connolly's 146, but it's 100 plus, and I can take that. And I think I'm pretty happy with that. And I'll reverse the question on you. I know you had your big Mitch Owen win, which was well documented. Anything else for you?
Anything else for me? I mean, pretty much all the points you mentioned there. Matt Short, captain, Jamie Overton, Cooper Connolly, they're all in there. Henry Thornton, you had him too, did you?
Yeah, 106.
Yeah,
not bad.
106. We'll take that. Just copy and paste both games. 2 for both. A bit of economy, few dot balls. That's how you get to 55 points. Basically, did that twice. And then just picking a bunch of young, pasty, white, tall, thick all-rounders. That's really been the secret to success so far this year. Matt Short, tall, thick, pasty, white all-rounder. Jamie Overton, same deal. Will Sutherland, same deal. Jack Edwards, same deal. I get he hasn't bowled yet this tournament, but Mitch Owen, same deal. And Cooper Connolly, he might not be tall and thick, but
Sure.
psychologically he's tall and thick. Psychologically, he definitely fits the bill.
Definitely.
And then the Greek freak, Marcus Stoinis. Is that who cares if that's politically correct? It'll be fine. And Curran's probably the same deal as well. But basically, just picking all rounders. That's really how I've gone so far, and I think I'll have a small increase again, hopefully into the top 1,500.
It's been I know the night round 1 finished. We got pretty quick updates, and we're recording this basically as Renegade Scorchers has finished, probably about half an hour after. We'll start off with a bit of a review. I guess we'll start off with, I know this is the preview show, but we'll start off with a quick recap of the round that was. We started in Adelaide for this round. The Strikers played the Stars. Lloyd Pope come back. He scored 95 points, And you could also say Darcy Short comeback. It was his first game of the season. He scored 85. Peter Siddle, 77, the 40-year-old. It was a very interesting game, I think. Did you have any sort of takeaways from this game in particular, Nath?
Yeah, I did. There was, if we can cast our minds back to probably, I'm gonna say early November of the Big Bash preseason, right? There was a lot of chat about, can you justify mm, fading the keeper position and going with Harper and Doran at the position? And that answer ended up quite vehemently being yes, you could. Um, Because Sam Harper, he's gone back to back games with solid scores, and at the keeper position, um, he'd have to have an average pretty high up there. He went 60, he went 61 against the Heat in their second game of round one, and then in round two he went and scored 58 in his first game. His only game of round two rather. Now, sure, he had a quiet game in his first game of the season, around 7 points, I think, or around that tune. But you put that all together, it's a early 40s average, roughly off the top of my head. Uh, that would be, I dare say that's in the top five for wicket keepers. I'm pretty comfortable with that. Would that be in the top five of keepers? Sorry, yeah, it's third. It's third. That's what it is.
That is top
Um,
five.
that's it. Yeah. So, and you paid 58,500 for that, and he'll be worth probably 80 to 90K. So you could have faded the keeper position. That's my first and main takeaway. You chuck in one of yours now.
I would have added for the keeper position. You could have also got Tim Seifert and got a pretty good output of points in that regard. But I do understand your point. Speaking of keepers, I guess, although there's no keeper designation, Ollie Pope I was pretty disappointed with, at least in the first game. 8 off 10. He did have a catch in the second innings, I think, which was redemption. Not really. I'm pretty disappointed with this. But a very good game, just in general, I thought. They it sort of ebbed and flowed a bit. 165 didn't look like it was going to be enough, I think, but the Stars are going to be the Stars, aren't they? They're just not really a good team. I think in the last 10 minutes of the broadcast on Fox, there was numerous amounts of mentions about how they haven't, or they've lost their last 6 Big Bash games, I think, in a row. So do with that information what you will. But that's Strikers Stars, I think, unless you've got something else.
No, and this isn't even on topic, but for those interested in rugby league out there, Ezra Mam's just been announced that he's likely to serve a 9-game suspension to start the year. Would have thought that's a little bit lot unders, just quietly.
I would have
You know,
thought the justice system would have been a bit harsh on him, but we
yeah.
can go into more detail about that at a later point in
Oh,
time.
I'll make 1 point, 1 point only. Bronson Sherry
Sure.
tries to bulk up his muscles a little bit quicker than what most people do. He misses 4 years. Ezra Mam nearly runs over a child. Look, sit out a couple of months and we'll bring you back in. Yeah,
Look,
and that's where I'll leave it. And that's where I'll leave it.
for now, because we'll make a promise to the viewer, we will go on about it. But this is Big Bash. This is Big Bash stuff.
This is Big Bash, and you
Sort
can
of.
expect NRL stuff very soon.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Even if it's just individually. Like, even if you only get one of us for a period, you'll get something. You get some sort of rugby league.
Something in the
Now,
works, apparently.
yeah, it's the first he's heard of it, but yes, there is
Correct.
stuff in the works. Yeah, what's that? What's that other game of the colours cricket?
Colours cricket? Well, that was Friday, I believe, and then we rocked up at 4 p.m. on a Saturday in Hobart, I think it was. Kane's Scorchies. That's stolen content. I can't help myself from saying it,
is.
but the Scorchers played the Hurricanes, and This is where you get your little masterclass of Mitch Owen for the Canes. We were all deterred away from picking Josh Inglis this round because he was in the test squad and he ended up
Yeah.
playing both games, which is slightly annoying. But anyway, 155 they put up the Scorchers, and I think I did watch the Scorchers innings, and I thought I did think it would be enough. I thought they would get over the line. I wouldn't have said easily, but I would have said relatively easily. However,
Mm.
proven very wrong. A Mitch Owen masterclass, 101 off 64 balls, winning the game with 4 balls remaining. Mitch Owen. I mean, this is it's one of these weird ones where it's just, where's this come from? Did
Yeah.
half the people listening, well, maybe not half the people listening, but half the people who watch Big Bash probably have never heard of Mitch Owen before. And he
Yeah.
scores one of the great hundreds. It looked very appealing and surprising again. I'll let you sort of take over here since you reaped the rewards of Mitch Owen.
Well, what I wouldn't give to do it again.
Mm,
So look, we should preface this by saying I picked him, sheer luck. I didn't see this coming. There was no logic behind the Mitch Owen pick. He opened in a practice match 24 hours before the Hurricanes played. I had a spare spot. I was like, I like this. He might bowl. He might open the batting. That's kind of like Matt Short. Why not? Let's see
kind
what
of.
happens. And lo and behold, it's eerily similar to Matt Short because he's just gone out and tried to smack the cover off the ball from
Mm,
ball one. They just didn't get him out. That's that, you know. In terms of weirdest innings of all time, that's number one for me. Nothing in Mitch Owen's history of cricket that anyone should have or would have bothered to pay attention to would have suggested that this was within his capabilities.
yep. And obviously we preface it with no disrespect to Mitch Owen, played well, and he's a professional cricketer for a reason. But no one saw this coming. And
No one saw
that's
it
as
coming.
respectful as we will put it. Shea Hope contributed with a 30 out of 35. Very slow, but I guess he played the role he needed to play. Tell you what, the way Finn Allen got out, which, he's been disappointing for another, well, he's just hasn't been able to stick around, has he? But um, that catch from Ben McDermott that got him out was an absolute
Oof.
ripper. And then it was the next over Riley Meredith bowled that he got Cooper Connolly out and Billy Stanlake caught it in his elbow because he did not have a hand on that whatsoever.
No, no.
um, Overall, though, you take away the Mitch Owen 100, it's a pretty missionary game. It runs for Inglis, runs for Turner, and yeah, that's
Yeah,
okay. It's
we're
missionary.
coining. I'm going to coin the phrase. The Scorchers got Mitch Owen. That's really the crux of this game, right? Jai Richardson 7 points, Lance
Mm,
Morris 3 points. Um, like they're two of the next generation bowlers for Australia in multiple formats, right?
mm,
So for some Tasmanian park cricketer to play a couple of games of, you know, TV grade cricket essentially and hit 100 runs against 250 kilometre an hour bowlers,
mm,
it's bizarre.
mm. It is a little bit, isn't it? Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll we'll move on to the Sydney Smash. Now,
How
obviously,
about
this
Sam
is
Constas?
about him.
Yeah. Yeah.
A bit unlucky the way he got out. He inside edged it onto his own stumps, but a duck nonetheless. After getting, it couldn't have been. It would have been roughly 24 hours beforehand. He was announced that he would be in the Test squad, and Sydney McSwaney dropped. ergo leaving
Oh,
that open spot wide open. Whether that was right or not, we'll get to when we cover the Heat game. Thunder batted. I mean, the openers, Warner and Constance went early, and Bancroft held the innings for us with Davies, and then just nothing really from Rutherford or Sams.
mm,
I would have thought, I would have thought 163 was enough, and it did look like it for a while
mm.
until none other than Chris Green, who I'm just looking at the economy rates, just the economy rates of the bowlers for the Thunder. Nathan McAndrew went at 7, Ferguson went at 8, Daniel Sams went at 7.25, and Sanger went for 6.75. Chris Green went for 11.5.
Yeah.
Mm,
I would like to make a comment here. Now,
go for it.
remember that? So that first game where Daniel Sams, hit 31 off Lloyd Pope, most expensive over in Big Bash history, yada yada
Yeah.
yada. That was bowled the second last over of the innings, right?
Oh,
Okay,
yes, you'll
so
get, yes.
so so spin
I
in
know
the
where this is
second
going.
last over of the innings. Thunder realised that's a no-no, so we'll attack that. No worries. Chris Green, he's vice captain. David Warner, he played 100 tests for Australia. Tactically, got to be up there, one of the brilliant minds. No, dumb as a doorknob. I know who I'll bowl. I'll bowl spin in the later overs of a game when we're defending a total. Lo and behold, you faced your punishment for bowling spin in the late overs of an innings. You just don't do it.
Now, yes, I would have had probably, I understand game situation and everything else, but I would have had probably Lockie finishing it off for the Thunder. But because Lockie and I are mates for first name basis sort of stuff.
All right.
Um, it yeah, spinning you can't bowl spin in the last 2 overs. I don't think it helps when there's no real other option for the Thunder. We bowled all our bowlers 4 overs, I think. I know there's Rutherford, but anyway,
Mm,
it's
Maybe
pretty.
Cricket Australia shouldn't have let Warner captain. I'm just thinking, like, it's a bit of bullhead tactics.
Uh, yeah, and it's probably just a bit down to bowler mismanagement as well. Like you
You
also
also
got
need,
to.
yeah, sorry, you go.
It's like you do need to bring on your best bowlers at some point, but you do also need to think that. So who's going to bowl my last over? When the game's on the line, who's going to bowl my last over? It can't be Chris Green. It can't be Tansy Sanger. It has to be McAndrew, Sams, or Ferguson. And anyway, um,
You might also need to pick a sixth bowler. Like,
well,
the pitfall of having a long tail is having Sam's at six, right? That's what you've been trying to avoid for a little bit. But in reality, having Sam's at six has meant that your bowling lineup, I should stop referring to as yours, as you don't own the Sydney Thunder. The Thunder's bowling lineup has been very good in the past because it's had six genuine bowlers.
yeah,
You've now got five, and Sherfane Rutherford. Rutherford is not really known for his bowling. He can bowl. It's going for tens. It might pick up a wicket. That's what it's designed to do.
I do like how you corrected yourself from saying you and then the sentence after you said your bowling lineup. But I do appreciate it because I'm part of the team. I am.
Yeah,
I,
well, you and as you said, you and Lockie, they're like that. Can
yeah.
I hate to be, you know, keep interrupting, but lockout's just lifted.
Yep.
Um, so I'll give you a quick rundown. With a score of 1,069, I've come 1,729th for the round and gone up 960 spots to 1,061.
Yep.
Now, for those of you who are listening, you might not know, Pat finished 132nd last round. Is that correct? Yep,
130th.
130. Yeah, how dare,
I've seen
how
the
dare.
drop. I've seen the drop.
Oh, drop. Oh, crap. What? How bad?
Oh, 379 places. I'm 509th now.
Oh, it's still three. It's three digits. It's still good.
The three did.
What I wouldn't give for two though. And
Um,
what you wouldn't give presumably.
I guess so. It's
Um,
30 spots away last. Anyway, we'll move on.
Yeah.
We're going. That was Saturday night, and what a night of cricket it was. Last night, Sunday night, even. Strikers Heat in another close game. This round has just been full of close games, and it's been fantastic cricket to watch, except today's Renegades batting innings. But we'll get to that. We'll get to it. Short out cheap again. Darcy Short misfired. Chris Lynn, Ollie Pope, 24-34 respectively, and another big innings with the bat from Jamie Overton, similar to his game against the Thunder. All those Heat bowlers were relatively expensive. Will Prestwich takes two. Tom Whitney took another wicket, which is something we've talked about a fair amount about Tom Whitney. But when we get to the Heat side of things, I guess for batting wise, Matt Renshaw 54 of 27. But of course, the main centrepiece, the main talk of cricket for the past 24 hours, Sidney McSweeney 78 off 49 balls. Really big FU to George Bailey and co, if that's anyway. Again, another batter. I guess you read the rewards, but I guess you didn't at the same time because you didn't have McSweeney on your playing 11. How happy are you with the fact that you did miss out on the points, but I guess you still own him and have him?
I mean, I'll run you through the psychology. So 24 hours beforehand, I saw Tom Banton had signed on. I knew he was going to play. Well, I thought at the time he was named in the squad to play against the Brisbane Heat. And against Brisbane Heat, plays for the Brisbane Heat against the Adelaide Strikers. And so I was like, it's keep a bat. It's 117K. That's going straight into my team. So I did that. I had initially had Renshaw there, right? So I was like, I'm willing to pay up for Tom Banton because I know he'll open the batting. Whereas Renshaw, he could bat as low as 5 when everyone's there, right? So I won't take that risk. But then I was like, well, if everyone's there, Tom Banton they could do something stupid with because he's not there forever. Matt Renshaw could bat as low as 5. Who's certain to bat in the top 4? Nathan, aka Sydney McSweeney. I went McSweeney when I saw that Banton wasn't playing. I was like, right, let's lock this guy in. 90K. He's got a point to prove. Proved the point, I believe. And as a result, he has a minus 16 break even on the double.
Big trade in for everyone because he's cheap, very cheap. 119,000, I think I just looked at.
Yep.
Popey bowled well in both games for the Strikers. All the Strikers bowlers bowled relatively well. Thornton a bit expensive as well as Boyce, but Liam Scott, I think, in that last over, I think Mike Hussey said it a couple of times, just too many cooks in the kitchen. People were talking to him every ball, and it looks messy, I think. But we'll move on to tonight's game. Scorchers, Gades, as I said at the top of the show, Gades doing their best Stars impression because that should have been wrapped up at the 15 over mark. But I'll give you a couple of scores. Connolly gave us 66 off 50 and held it down to the Scorchers. And Matthew Spores came in for a 29 off 26, and there wasn't much else support around for them. Tom Rogers had 3 wickets, and all the other bowlers getting 1. And relatively inexpensive. I mean, they only scored 143, the Scorchers. And in the last over of their innings, the Renegades got over the line with some relatively solid contributions all round, more specifically Seifert, Bethel and Evans all scoring upwards of 20. And it was Will Sutherland that guided them home. I know both you and me were disappointed that our bowlers for the Scorchers didn't play. Lance Morris for you and Jai Richardson for myself, despite being in Melbourne and this
At
game
the
was
game,
being played in Melbourne. At the game,
he
yeah,
was
there was about a over and a half's interview with, I forget the name of the sideline reporter, but with that guy.
Drew Jones,
And
maybe.
yes, I think so.
Yeah,
Um, anyway, that was disheartening. So in Scorcher's gear as well. In Scorcher's gear, he was a pair of long pants and an orange shirt away from actually being on the field. Anyway, a bit angry about that because I only ended up with 7 points from it, and you probably share the same sentiments with 3 points from your bowler. I don't have much for the Scorchers apart from just Connolly scoring runs. It was helpful for me. I liked it because it was more points for me. I stayed in the top 1,000 this week. I'm happy. Um,
I'll speak up then. Uh,
sure.
and this is more for not this round, but the round after. Uh, and this is a price watch on Finn Allen. He has dropped to $107,000, 108 actually, sorry, with a 106 break even this round. If he stinks it up again, we are talking a direct swap from Sam Constance to Finn Allen. That is how you super coach
Mm.
people. If you can make that trade next round, um, and he fires, uh, that's something. So, and he looks. I can't say he looks likely because he hasn't. He's faced 7 balls this Big Bash, but he's going. What's his strike rate going to be? If he's faced 7 balls and he's hit 10 runs. It's not bad. Yeah, 10 runs. It's not a bad strike rate. But if that guy faces 20 balls, he's probably on 40 runs, uh, making you money immediately. So that's a price watch, folks. Price watch on Finn Allen, please.
If he ever gets past that 3 ball mark,
I'm
we are
scared.
in for an innings of a lifetime.
Yeah. And that's how it works, right? You know,
It's just how
once you beat the psychology of cricket, you're free.
the world is your
That's a bit
oyster.
deep.
That's the Ben McDermott effect,
Yes.
which it's getting to that Boxing Day time.
Yeah. Well, actually,
That's all I'm saying.
actually, let me get this. Let me find Ben McDermott real quick. Oh yeah, another price watch on him. 86 break even, 118,000. Got Adelaide. Henry Thornton probably knocks his pegs out. Break even, drops even further. When he dips below 100,000, you pick him too. See,
It's
let's get familiar with this crap. All right, you know how it works. Ben McDermott will
so
score 100 this tournament, and if you don't pick him after Boxing Day or after this round, that's on you for being an idiot.
so I don't think we ever went into this in detail in the preseason, and we'll recap it quickly as we've drawn close to the preview. Um, the Canes played the 27th in Adelaide, so I think you're
Mm.
okay. But as a PSA to everyone else, in round 4, they play back in Hobart against the Sydney Sixers.
He score 100,
If you don't have him, I'd be scared because
and
it's
yeah,
something about it's not necessarily right after Boxing Day. It's the Boxing Day round finishing, and between the end of that round, so the round 4 we're talking, we'll start the 30th. And it's between the 30th and probably the 10th of January, where if you don't own Ben McDermott, you're probably going to cry yourself to sleep.
well, I see. I'm not certain he'll do well at Showground because it's a crappy, slow wicket. With respect, not to the standard that we saw tonight. That was an absolute piece of crap. Anyway, but back-to-back games at Hobart, Blunston Arena, or as it's now known as Ninja Stadium.
Ninja.
Um, yeah, back-to-back games there. Shocks me if he doesn't score a tiny one of those two because it's Ben McDermott. We should probably preview round 3 rather than talk about, you know, Ben McDermott scoring hundreds in rounds we're not even previewing yet.
I could do that for ages.
Yeah.
But we will talk about round 3, I guess. We start in Sydney on Boxing Day. Sixers Stars. Now, first sort of reactions as you look at that is a Sixers win, probably.
Oh, deluxe.
Akil Hussain looked really good the other day, and I think that will set the tone. I don't think the Stars have a strong enough batting lineup. I say that as I am bringing in Glenn Maxwell this week, probably. Um, how much trust do you have in sort of, I guess, depending on who you have in your team, but sort of those top 4 guys? I know you still have Harper, I think, and I assume you will bring in Glenn Maxwell. I don't know if you still have Marcus Stoinis as well, but those are 3 out of the 4 of the top
Mm,
4 for you. You're putting full faith in those guys, at least against the Sixers?
no. I'm setting up bench launch for Sam Harper. He's had 2 good innings, so down to score 7 in the first game. Glenn Maxwell bowls, Marcus Stoinis bowls, so I'm expecting him to score probably 50 to 55 in those games. Mm, I also don't think I can justify a Maxwell captaincy, maybe, because Jack Edwards bowls 4 overs, bats 3, bowls death. It's a better role than Maxwell.
It is tough because we're in a bit of a situation this week where I say this week, this round, where you have to VC a sixer or a star and then captain a heat player because, well, we should mention that it's sixes, stars, and heat. They're the double game this round. So you don't get a choice of a sixer, a star, or a heat. It's you got to go in that first game with your vice captain. You don't. It's limited options, is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Mm.
Um, Interesting that it's not Maxwell for you. I assume it's Jack Edwards, based on what you just said. Any other sixer you would consider for a VC?
Captaining or bringing in?
We'll do both. Why not?
Um, Akila Sane is my answer to both.
Sure. Um,
Um, and that is because he's genuinely unplayable. Like, it's been that way for a heck of a while now. Every time he's played Big Bash cricket, he's just taken wickets for fun. He's got games at the SCG and the Gabba. Um, SCG is where I think he will score a fair few points. However, the Gabba, um, you know, probably does all right there too. If we look at his average at grounds, which is one of my favourite stats, um, never played at the Gabba and only played 1 game at the SCG for a 25 average. So there's that. Uh,
hmm,
now, where is you're the Google man? Where is
sure.
Cazalis Stadium? CazalyS. In
Uh,
the meantime, I'll drown that out with the sound of my own voice. But Akil saying left arm off spin. What do Australian batsmen typically hate playing? Left arm off spin. Is he the #1 ranked T20 bowler in the world? Yes, he is. Um, it is a hefty price to pay for a pure bowler though, and a spin bowler. Like you're paying 200K for Akil Sane, but I think it's worth it.
yeah, we saw that he batted, or he was going to come in at 10,
Mm.
which I don't know. Does that affect? I know you're pretty keen on him anyway, but I guess to people who may not be as keen, does that affect you? Or
It,
give us
it
some
it affects
reasons.
me. It affects me, and obviously this is a bit reactionary because I'm still trying to think about who I actually feel comfortable picking, and certainly feel comfortable picking Akil Sane. But when Ben Dwarshuis has batted at 7 in both games and has taken multiple wickets in both of his games, and he's also 40K cheaper than Akil Hussain, it feels like the sensible thing to do is to not, uh, I suppose. not bring him in and bring in Dorcas instead.
Sounds like it.
Um, I also do want to ensure that I've got all my loops available to me.
Yep.
Um, and so to that, there is a chance where I say I actually just want 8, but I want to make sure I can loop this round. I want to be able to loop really well. In the batting department, you'll all have Sam Constas. He plays the second last game of the round, so you'll
Yep.
have that available to you. Um, in the bowling department, it's very likely you still own Adam Zampa. In which case you've got a very cheap looping option. And that brings me to the idea of selling Will Sutherland.
Interesting.
Well, otherwise, he's just going to sit on your bench and you're not going to be able to loop in a position.
Would a little off topic, but doesn't matter. Would that mean you keep Matt Shaw?
No. See, for
Selling
me,
both.
I'm selling both and I'm selling Seifert. And
That's some money in the
I'm
back
going
pocket.
all out. And yes, because I've decided initially I'm bringing in Xavier Bartlett, Glenn Maxwell, Ben Dwarshuis, and I've still got 170k for someone. That's how I'm
And
approaching this round, and I'm taking the attitude of I'm going all out here.
I assume with those plans, considering you already have Mitch Owen as well, that's 4 double game players that you'll be bringing in. Correct.
That is exactly correct. And now the task is to find player number 4. And currently, the psyche leans me towards Sean Abbott. But
Yeah.
by the same token, I could be swayed into taking um, another Brisbane Heat bowler or all-rounder. I could go Tor Paul, but
I'm not sure
I
how
haven't
form
liked
he's
the
been in at the
optic of
moment.
Tor Paul this year.
Jimmy Pearson,
Um,
maybe.
Jimmy Pearson,
Didn't have a great
yes,
showing the other day, but
and you throw Tom Bant into that lineup, and you're all over the place, right?
yeah, I guess so.
Um,
I guess this leads
yeah,
into a bit of heat chat for the Perth Brisbane
yeah.
Heat game, which is the I did for heaven's sake, I did find out that other stadium as well, Cairns.
Okay, so we're talking Queensland. Uh, Now, where the hell is Akila saying again? That leads me to my next tangent, which was what's his average in Queensland, essentially, and that answer is 116. So there's that.
Interesting. So good
Now it's a
option there,
1 game
Keeler
sample
saying.
size.
Sure, but that's fine with me. Um, the Perth Brisbane game is the second game on Boxing Day at 9:15. Oh, there'll be cricket until about 1 o'clock in the morning. It's just fantastic stuff on Boxing Day. I assume you'll be keeping Cooper Connolly just
Mm.
based on form. Are you letting go of Lance Morris or any of your other Perth Scorchers players?
I am moving on from Lance Morris. I think that's a fair enough decision. Although I don't need to sell Lance, so I'm a bit torn as to whether or not I go down that avenue and sell him. Because he's gonna if he plays next game, um, and we'll know early enough in the round. Um, I'm happy just to take him to a heat bowler, uh, or like Lance Morris to Tall Paul. I'd be okay with it.
Yep. It will be interesting to see what happens with Perth. They'll lose, or they'll still be without Jai Richardson, and they will be without Josh Inglis as well. So it puts them in a bit of a tough spot, I think, at least. Where you just assume Lance Morris comes back in. So they'll still have a good bowling department as well. I mean, they kept it close with the Gates today, and no doubt they'll keep it close with Brisbane Heat. Any sort of you probably don't bring in any Perth players, but we'll move to Brisbane Heat, I guess, because that's sort of it with Perth. Are there any Heat players that you'd sort of be excited about for this specific matchup?
Perth players. Is that right? Um,
No, Brisbane
Heat.
players.
Okay, well, there you go.
Close.
50-50 call. Uh, Brisbane players in Perth, I think, although I wasn't talking highly of Walter, the style of bowling he has would suit Optus.
Yeah, I
Um,
guess that. Yeah, it's
I
true.
dare say. Um, so I'd be tempted by freaking Walter. Sorry, forgot his name. Uh, and on the other side of things, obviously McSweeney, you'd think that he would have to play in a similar role again, this anchor role. Banton's not a long innings guy; he's an aggressor. Pearson probably anchors the middle to late order and allows them to hit. Um, Renshaw, he's shown he can have an attacking game. Munro, we know all too well, can have an attacking game on him. You put all those pieces around him, you'd figure that the quality of McSweeney probably thrives in Perth against a good lineup, good bowling lineup. Uh, and then just to sort of put it all together, I don't mind the idea of Mitch Swepson. I don't think I'll do it,
Hmm,
but I don't mind it because it's
interesting.
wicket taking. Uh, it's certainly not bowling for economy. That's for
Mm.
sure. It's going to be hunting for wickets. You'd think he could find a way to get 4 wickets in the double at around 100K. You're looking at 100 to 120 points at that sort of value, and you take that. You'd certainly take that on a double. Um, so that's sort of my rationale behind maybe leaning towards the way of Mitch Swepson if you wanted to take a flyer on someone in this game.
I like the idea of that. Friday, 27th, we go to Adelaide, where the Strikers play the Canes. With the amount of double games there are this round, are you recommending people trading Mitch on or waiting a week?
Hmm. Well, you're not going to be able to wait a week. It's a -78 break even. So you bring him in now. Um, if he steps onto the field, it's, let me just do this quickly. It's 20K as soon as he puts one step on the field. Um, you think he'll score, he'll certainly attack at the top of the innings. Whether or not it pays off, I don't know, but there's rationale behind him scoring a quick 20 and taking a catch because he's an outfielder. There's simple pathways for him to score 50 points. And if you're buying him at 90K, you're not going to play him this round most likely. 50 points, that creates a gap of 128 to his break even, and three-quarters of that is, well, no, a quarter of that rather is $32,000.
Very nice. And then it probably just gets a bit more difficult to find space for him in your team as the weeks go by. Are you recommending any other Hobart players? It's tough because they're just not a double game week player, so it's just you sort of find reasons not to bring in Kane's players. But is someone like a maybe Nathan Ellis or even a Shea Hope interest you this week, or just not?
There is one player who I thought's looked a lot better than what his SuperCoach stats reflect. Billy Stanlake,
Oh,
Big Billy. It's the angle and the approach to
mm,
the crease. It's the most energetic I've seen him in 5 years because I haven't seen him in 5 years.
no one has.
Um, no one has. He's been MIA, but Mr. Frankenstein, as I'm now calling him live, uh,
Mm.
he was bowling proper pace, rapid pace, like high 140s sort of thing. And we're talking 55,000, I think, for him right now. Um, if you're looking for a flyer, it's not a bad shout. It's not a bad
Because they
shout.
needed more
I don't.
pace, didn't they, with Riley Meredith already
Yeah,
there?
freaking hell. And Chris Jordan can crank it to 140. So can
Yeah,
Ellis.
yep.
Um, you know. But it's the angle of approach, which I think on pacey wickets, he will be a nightmare to face.
Yeah, I do like that call. I'm thinking about it now. With the strikers, people are looking to get probably some strikers out of their team after trading a couple in last round. I'll talk about Matt Short. I think we agree with the sentiment of trade out.
Yes.
As hard as it might be to watch him bat against Hobart on Friday, I think it would be the sensible thing to do, especially with someone like Glenn Maxwell being the guy you'd probably trade him in for. Um, One guy that I think a lot of people probably have and probably 50-50 on trading him out or not, Henry Thornton.
Yeah. Good old Henry
Um,
Thornton, hey?
the thing that would probably be keeping a lot of people to keep him in is that his break even is 12 this round.
Yeah.
But there are 3 teams with a double game this week. Here's 115,000. We're not going to hold you to this, Nath. I promise we will. But are you going to be looking to trade him out this week or not?
I am not trading Henry Thornton. He's looking in really good form. In fact, I'm setting up a bench sleep as we speak with Lance Morris and Henry Thornton.
Mm.
Mm.
Going to keep Lance.
I'm going to keep Lance because there's no value to him right now. Um, and I'll play some silly buggers if he's not named.
Um, does that cover about all the strikers? All the relevant ones at least? I guess.
Yeah,
Would you trade in Lloyd Pope?
Lloyd Pope. Um, I mean, you have to ask the question when he scores 156 in the double and he's averaging 60 on the year.
Mm.
And take into account, he was 1 for 17 off 3 overs. He's
Mm.
actually only had he's bowled 6 bad balls this tournament, and they've shaped the reputation of this is village. He's a village cricketer, right?
Mm. Which we
If
did
that
play
one
into
over,
account of.
yeah, in fact, he actually is a village cricketer. If that one over that he bowled to Daniel Sams goes slightly differently, like if Daniel Sams, hits him for a 6 or 2 even, but miscues the third one, all
Mm.
of a sudden he's got 2 for 29, 2 for 31 off his 4 overs. His average would be in the high 70s. And we're sitting here thinking, why not pick him on the double? The signs were right there. But
You probably would
I
have.
can't I can't spend $145,000 on a striker spinner who in my mind still is a village cricketer.
Sure. Um, but that probably, I don't see any reason really to be trading in any strikers this round at least. And if you're going to trade in a Kane, it's got to be Mitchell, and I think that probably wraps up that.
Yeah.
We did talk about the Stars already a little bit, and we can touch on some other points if you've thought of anything. But in the nation's capital, the Stars play the Thunder. Um, Again, it's one of the games where you want to look to the Stars because of the double game guys, and Consus won't be playing. So, to the few that might have Warner or Bancroft or Sams or a Chris Green, I'd look for me. The only one or the only two that are worth keeping are Bancroft and Sams. I would have said, but even then, I'm looking to trade everyone but Bancroft. I think with I haven't looked, but I assume he'll have a decent break even with a 70 on the weekend. I guess we'll look more to Stars now, unless you want to add anything about Thunder.
I'll quickly get you Bancroft's break even. It's 2. And the one thing I would like to mention on the Stars is that Usama Mir from Pakistan, he's arrived. He'll be playing in both games this double. Uh, Leg spinner. He played last year. He was solid.
Yep.
Uh, he's got the SCG and he's got Monica. I think there's a scenario where he goes all right on this double, but I don't really want to pick him sight unseen, but he's 124K for those who are interested.
Sort of a pod play for those that are a bit outlandish,
Risky,
I guess,
risque. Interesting.
if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stars chat is just a bit Glenn Maxwell, I think, really this round because no one will really have him. There will be some that will have him, but not a lot will. And like people have traded out Bo by now. Hamish McKenzie doesn't have a job, and most people already have Tom Curran. I think he's not worth trading in guys like Peter Siddle or Brody Couch or any of those other guys. Maybe Sam Harper if you're looking for a cheapish kick.
Can
We'll
I? Sorry,
go.
I'm gonna ask you one question. I know you want to go to the final game. If you were to name in the competition,
Sure.
you're picking your Big Bash team, the SuperCoach team for this round. Let's say hypothetically you want 9 double players, 8 or 9 double players, right? You're probably looking to be at around that mark. Who are your 3 to 4 best non-double game players in SuperCoach right now?
Oh. Ooh. So we're ruling out Renegades players because they're on the bye.
Yes, people playing this round that only play once.
So what teams are that? That's Scorchers, Adelaide, Hobart, and the Sydney
Thunder.
Green team.
Yeah.
Mitch Owen would have to be one.
Is that on a price point or just a form?
Both, because you score 100, it's like, well, there's something there, right? And then there's also the massive price point where you'd like to make a lot of money.
Monies. Ooh.
Monies. I already have Cooper Connolly, but he would be number 2. Where I think realistically he'd be 1, but I guess I'm just naming them as they come to my head. Cooper Connolly would be the next guy. He's 160 at the moment. He's batting 3 and he's bowling consistently. I think it was probably about halfway through the Renegades batting innings, so they realised spin could keep them in the game, and Connolly came on almost immediately, took a wicket in his first, only went for 5 runs in his second, I think. Did he bowl a third over? I'm not.
I think he did. I think he went really well today in his second game. Well, he scored 19 in the first, so what's that?
Oh, jeez. He scored
127?
146 at the end.
127 today.
There you go. Cooper Connolly would be the other guy. I don't know. Jamie Overton would be my third. I was going to say I don't know who, but Jamie Overton would be. He's been, without sort of thinking of anyone else, I think it's probably him and Will Sutherland that have been the best.
Yeah.
Sutherland's on the bye, obviously, but they've been the tough to say form players of the competition because it's not actually about cricket, it's about Supercoach points, but they've been the form Supercoach players so far.
Yeah. Well, I'll answer my own question.
Sure.
For me, and I'm sort of going to go on a bit of a tangent here, but this
By all
year
means.
so far, it has been, as I've said earlier on the show, the young, thick, white, tall all rounders, physically or spiritually, right?
Yep.
Will Sutherland averaging 93, Jamie Overton averaging 87.7, Mitch Owen 85.5, Cooper Connolly 82.7, Jack Edwards 70 without actually playing that well. I could go on, and I will. Marcus Stoinis 59.7. Even your fella, Daniel Sams, 55.
55.
Matt Short hasn't fired with the bat, 52 average. Tom Curran, he's been crap, but 45 with being genuinely horrible with the ball. James Basley's a bat 8 and don't bowl, and he's averaging 43.7. If you're tall, thick, white, and can bowl but don't always, you do well in Supercoach this year. So for me, that's I'm picking stereotypically now. I'm gonna adopt uh, certain policies that were reflected by certain people who wore costumes in certain contexts back in the 1940s, 50s.
Yep.
Give me white chocolate.
Yeah.
That's the name of the podcast. There you go. Give me white chocolate.
It's probably round 3 preview, but
Fine, fine. We'll name it normally. We won't. We won't.
um,
We won't.
there's a basketball that I can't remember the name of his nickname, White Chocolate. I'll find that out.
Larry Bird. Oh,
No,
that's big.
well,
It's Big Bird. Well, what I wouldn't give.
some
Sorry,
guy in the
that's
Kings. Anyway, different. That's different stuff entirely. But yeah, just those all rounders who get again thick, white, in spirit or in physical appearance. That are just doing well this season.
Jason
I
Williams.
think God, he's Jason. Oh, yeah, what I wouldn't. Yeah. Anyway, we won't, but we could. Last game of the round. Jason Williams. Oh, that's good. Heat Sixers. I know we've already had some chat about the Heat and the Sixers. I think those who didn't start off the season with Jack Edwards, like myself, I'm not
He's
upset that I didn't, but I'm definitely trading him in this round. He's averaging 70, and with the role in a double game round that is coming up, that is something I cannot pass up.
and he's for me. Like I have him, but if I was giving advice out, and I will, because that's what we do, being a
Oh,
SuperCoach account. Just in case you didn't know, I will be asked who are your top trade targets this round, and who will I say first? Jack Edwards every time.
Jack Edwards.
Jack Edwards. It's similar energy to the um, who's the best offensive player in the NBA? LeBron James or Kevin Durant? And then you've got
Kevin
a
Durant.
video of Stephen A. Smith saying Kevin Durant, Kevin Durant, Kevin Durant,
Kevin
Kevin
Durant.
Durant. What are you on? What are you on, huh? Kevin Durant, Kevin Durant. It's going to have to be uploaded onto the video clips here. But anyway, the point is Jack Edwards has got to be the number one guy, surely.
Yeah, I guess sort of what we'll do. We'll finish this up and we'll go into some captaincy, vice captaincy stuff, and some trading stuff as well. But yeah, with the Sixers, it's Jack Edwards and it's Ben Dwarshuis, and then if you've got the cash to splash, it's probably a killer Saint.
I want to make it work. I want to get Xavier Bartlett, Glenn Maxwell, Ben Dwarshuis, and Akila Sane. And that's what I'm going to be spending my Christmas Eve doing and my Christmas Day doing instead of, celebrating.
Probably you'll be sitting in the lounge room at our grandparents' place.
Yeah, at our grandparents' place.
Or
Or,
everyone's outside.
everyone's outside having the time of their lives. Patrick,
And you're on your phone looking at
Yeah.
Big Bash scores.
Yes. Fucking. No, I'll hide myself back there. This is on the internet, folks. Captains, hey?
Yeah, we'll go captains. I was going to say something a little bit about the Heat, but I think we pretty much covered it about in the Perth game. It's Sydney McSweeney, Renshaw's there. Pearson you could dabble with, but that's really role dependent. I will have to because I already have him in.
And the Banton, if you want a cheap keeper.
Banton. Do we know anything about Spencer Johnson?
If he's named, I'm picking him. That's for sure.
Over
Like,
Bartlett?
no, but I would probably not go after Akila Sane so hard.
Well, then I will pose the question: would you rather Bartlett or Johnson if you had to pick
Bartlett.
between those two? Okay, so that answers some questions for people. We will go to captains, captain/vice captains, because they are important as well. I know it's still new and the lockout lifted while we're recording. But who are you looking to vice captain this week? Give us
Well,
at least two.
At least two. Okay. Vice captain. I mean, Jack Edwards.
Yep.
That feels like a pretty safe option to me. Jack Edwards is going to bat 3. He's going to bowl 4. I struggle to see how in that role he doesn't get to 140 points just by functioning as a member of a cricket team. You know, you're going to bowl
What I
four
would
overs.
give.
You're going to have to bat a little bit. Yeah, okay. Um, you put all that together, you're going to get to 140 naturally. It's safe as houses. Obviously, another vice captain, same game, Glenn Maxwell.
Yep.
His ceiling is higher than anyone else's in the competition because he's the best player in the competition, right? He can do anything at any given moment. His ceiling, we will never actually know what his ceiling
Mhm.
is. It might well have been that the greatest ODI innings of all time, and that's his ceiling, but it could be higher. We don't know what it is.
Could be.
He could be the first person to score 200 in a T20. Wouldn't shock me. Um,
It really wouldn't.
no.
Do you want to give us? I'll make it two again. Do you want to give us two captaincy options?
Well, again, I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna use the same person twice, but as I said, safe as houses, Jack Edwards. You want to
Okay.
bank
Yep.
140 guaranteed, captain him. At least 140, mind you. If he actually has really good games, we're talking twos,
Yep.
200s, not 2 points.
Mm.
Um,
You'd hope not.
and logically playing the game after Xavier Bartlett.
Yep.
Particularly if you see the return of Spencer Johnson, it would mean that Prestwich probably misses because Tom Whitney or not Mike Whitney, Tom Whitney, um, he probably keeps his spot. He's been okay. I don't know. Point being, Xavier Bartlett's likely to get some batting points, and he's a hell of a
Sure.
bowler.
Yep. I agree with that. You're not going to want to touch any of the Heat batsmen with a captaincy.
Could never captain a pure bat. That's just
Sure.
a OCD thing. And I suppose I'll throw Tall Paul in there. He's
Okay.
he's got a role. He just hasn't been great so far. He's the only anomaly to the tall. He's not young. That's the reason why.
Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise, he would fit perfectly in the tall, thick, white, young all rounder.
Maybe if he shows some form in next week's show, we'll include him in that.
Yeah,
Give us three trade targets. I know you're going to say
great trade
Jack
targets.
Edwards and Glenn Maxwell,
And just Xavier
but
Butler. No, I'll come up with
and
three new
Xavier
ones. I'll
Butler.
come up with three new ones. All right. Sydney McSweeney. That's an easy one.
Yeah.
Uh, anytime you have a negative break even on a double, you trade that person in. Um, from the Sixers, again, I've talked about him a bit, but Akil Sane. Um, people will gawk at the price being nearly $200,000 for a pure spin bowler, but he's always been by far the best spin bowler in Big Bash when he's played. Um, and then finally for me, Melbourne Stars. If you sold Tom Curran, I'd like to bring him back. I get he hasn't been fantastic, and maybe he's a solid one to miss, but you don't want to be on the receiving end of a Tom Curran masterclass.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. Um, I think for me, if you take Edwards and Maxwell out of it, I think um, Sidney McSweeney is the obvious Heat guy to trade in. I would have said Ben Dwarshuis for the Sixers, just because it's almost like Xavier Bartlett, where he's going to bowl four, but he just bats high enough that in games he could score some runs. Obviously, we saw on the weekend 20 off 8 strike rate bonus at a premium. Um, and for the Stars, I would say I there was a fair amount of people that traded out Tom Curran, but for the sake of it, I will find someone else for the show.
What a
It's tough
sacrifice.
because it's just tough because they're a bad team. But I'd probably say Ben Duckett if I had to.
I mean, let's be real. He opened the batting. He's got some ceiling on him, uh,
Can
and no
take a
one's going to pick
catch.
him. He can catch apparently, uh, and he can slot into your keeper position. So there's certainly legs to it. I wouldn't write that off at all.
I think that wraps us up. Unless you have any thoughts off the top of your head.
Uh, no more than what I've already spewed out onto this YouTube video, podcast, whatever you choose to call this piece of media.
Yep.
Yep.
I don't expect us to be on our account over Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Probably early Boxing Day, we will be reconnecting with the world of SuperCoach, at least in the online sphere.
Yeah. I think you'll probably be able to chat to us probably until midday tomorrow. Even then, you'll be watching this at probably around that same point of time. I will put a PSA out on social media. We'll be out of action probably until Boxing Day. Yeah. Enjoy the couple of days off from sweating over whether or not Matt Short's going to ruin your super coach season,
Which he will.
or make it, and he will at some point. And it's a matter of how many people own him at that point.
And just because we told
Yeah.
him to trade him out, it doesn't mean you should. But you should, but you shouldn't. But I will
If
echo the
if we're
sentiment.
right, if we're
Go.
right, if we're right, it's us that did it. We take the
Correct.
full credit, as you've mentioned numerous times.
Yes.
If we're
it's more
right, we
sort of
take the credit.
tagline. And if we're wrong, we bear no responsibility of the actions you partook in. It wasn't us, it was you.
Yes, you made the mistake of watching this piece of crap and saying,
Yeah.
"I'll listen to these two white fellas. They've got to know what they're talking about. Surely they have microphones and talk about Supercoach on a YouTube channel. No, come on, trust your gut. It knows more than we do. Seriously, grow up. All right, done. Goodbye."